Samantha.
And I'm Elbert.
And welcome back to another episode of
Slightly Burnt Toast. Yay! We actually don't eat bread that much, which is a little bit weird. But
you had bread this afternoon, though.
Yeah, but you can't throw away food.
Well, this podcast has nothing to do with bread.
Just the circumstances of becoming a burnt toast.
Well, what is the circumstance of becoming burnt toast?
You stay in the toaster for too long. Which means don't overwork yourself. Just take a step back and relax.
Is that what it means?
Well, that's what it means to me now in this moment.
Oh, I don't really think that's what we had in mind when we were thinking about slightly burnt toast, though.
That's okay. I'm okay with just changing the meaning of it to
Every
whatever.
Every single episode, we have a different meaning.
To whatever suits our needs at that given moment in time.
Well, welcome back to our podcast. If you're new here, we are married, and we've been married for about 2 years together for about 7.
10 years. What?
Wait, what?
How are you off by 3 years?
I think I got really confused for a second there because I was trying to say that we are married for 2 years, but then before that we've been together for 8.
Yeah, so 7 was still wrong.
7 was still wrong. But okay, you guys, it's because Albert always messes up the number of years we've been together. So every time I go like, oh, hey, babe, we've been together for 7 years, he'll be like, oh, 8 years, 9 years, 10 years. And now I'm just confused.
No, you're not. Every time I say it, you say you'll never trick me. And then you just go like, it's been 10 years.
Yeah, well, sometimes I have off days.
Okay.
Well, we've been together for a total of 10 years. I think this is our 10th year, right?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
I think, yes.
We've been together for a decade.
Oh, my God, we're old.
We're not old. We're well seasoned.
What's the difference?
We're slightly burnt.
We're slightly burnt. We've been in the workforce for too long. We've been in the sun for too long.
Just filled with love.
Anyway. Let us continue before
we're talking,
we bore them.
Like, our podcast, we'll be talking about just, like, you know, things about relationships, about life, and really trying to break that perception that relationships are all, you know, flowers and
butterflies and honey and sugar plums and
yeah. You know, I think
stuff.
I've been talking about bread so much, I said flour, like baking flour instead of flowers.
Oh, yeah, man, you don't bake ever.
I do bake.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I got
you
the
made
Betty
me
Crocker
that.
cake.
Right, because Betty. Yeah, thank you for baking my birthday cake.
You're welcome.
That was great. It was actually really good. You just put extra butter and like 2 extra eggs in there, and you're good to go.
Betty Crocker mixes are great, you guys. Like, it tastes so good, and no one would know it's not.
Betty
like
Crocker on its own, if you follow the instructions, it is terrible.
It's not terrible.
But if you go out of your way to put extra butter and 2 extra eggs, then it will be good.
That sounds so unhealthy.
That's the whole point.
So unhealthy. Okay, so if you guys listen to the previous episode, so funny because I was just telling Albert about this. And in that episode, we kind of talked about, you know, if we would survive dating right now, like if we weren't together and we had to start online dating, like if we would actually swipe right on each other. And Albert said in that podcast that he would not swipe right on me, and I was extremely upset.
I was joking.
Well, I don't know. I don't think you were joking. You guys go back and listen to the second episode and then tell us that, if he was joking or not, because he didn't sound like he was joking.
Okay, but you were like food and artsy, and I was all like hiking and outdoor activities, so it was based on first impressions of photos. In my mind, I have never met this girl before in my life. Would I swipe right? And I was like, do I really want to just go walk around, take photos, or do I want to go on a hike? First impressions. I've never met you before. In that scenario, it's kind of hard to say.
Anyway, if you guys want to listen to that episode, it's episode 2. But basically, the reason I'm telling this story is because I had a dream that night. Okay, and I couldn't sleep. I had the worst sleep ever. You know those like nights where you wake up in the middle of the night, you go to the bathroom, and you come back and you're like, okay, I'm just going to fall back asleep. But you don't fall back asleep. And then you stay lying awake, feeling anxious, like your heart's racing, like your mind is going like a gazillion miles an hour. You can't stop your brain. And all I could think about was how Albert would not swipe right on me. And I didn't sleep. I didn't sleep that night.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Which brings us to a really good breathing technique, guys. If you breathe in very slowly for 4 seconds and hold it for 4 seconds and exhale for 4 seconds and then hold it for 4 seconds and just repeat the cycle over and over again and just focus like entirely on that breathing pattern, you will fall asleep.
Really?
Yeah.
Where did you learn that from?
The internet.
Well, you have to breathe slowly. Is that what you mean? Like, so if I take 4 deep breaths and then exhale slowly 4 times, is that what you mean?
No. You breathe in over the course of 4 seconds very slowly. And then you hold it for 4 seconds. And then you exhale very slowly over the course of 4 seconds. And then you hold for 4 seconds. Classic
totally
miscommunication.
Did that. No, I did that and I counted sheeps. I even turned over and looked at you as you were sleeping soundly.
That just probably made you angry.
Yeah.
Screw this guy.
I know. Actually, there was a point in the night after maybe 2 hours of me trying so hard to fall asleep that I did look at you and you were so peacefully asleep and I was like, fuck this guy.
Don't worry, I never get good sleep, so you don't have to worry about that.
I wish you had sleep though.
Not that night you didn't. That night you were wishing that I was just suffering in pain somewhere
No,
in my dreamlands.
I never wish that you're suffering in pain, Albert. I always wish that you're not suffering. I would have liked if you woke up and turned over and was like, honey, did you have a bad dream?
Well, you weren't like shaking or whimpering or anything. Although
I was actually whimpering.
What?
On
Why?
purpose. I wanted to see if you would wake up.
I was asleep.
Yeah, but you just said you don't sleep very deeply. So I was like, oh, maybe if I whimper loud enough, he would open his eyes and like give me a hug and be like, oh, you have a bad dream.
Wow, I must have been sleeping with you all that night.
The one time I wanted you to wake up as I whimper. I was literally making little sounds, being like, ugh.
Okay. Yeah, this kind of reminds me of this idea that falling in love or like meeting somebody, a lot of it is just chance and like, just out of the blue. You can't plan it.
How did this segue come to be?
Oh, no, I was just thinking about this idea that, like, oh, maybe I wouldn't have swiped right on your profile based on our like two interests, but we still ended up meeting. And over time, we grew to know each other more.
Yeah.
And then we stuck like glue, and now you can't even get rid of me, so.
Yeah, it's like in relationships, you grow to choose each other and to love each other.
Yeah, and that reminds me of this phrase that in a book, I'm listening to an audiobook right now called 7 Habits of Great People, Excellent People. I don't know, sounds so vain when I say it out loud, but anyway, the author talks about how love should be a verb and not a noun. I don't know, what is a noun actually?
I can't remember grammar.
Anyway, he says that love is a verb, and I get what a verb is because a verb is an action.
Yeah.
And he just states that because you should always think about love as a verb in everything you do, it's just an active action that you take.
Like you actively choose someone, you actively listen, actively try and be a better partner.
Yeah, exactly. But it's more like you're doing things out of love.
Yeah. Acts of service, like as your love language.
Not even love language. You're just saying that like love is a verb and it is an action that you take.
Yeah.
Regardless of expecting anything back, right? Like you're choosing to make that action. Which kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier about, love isn't all like butterflies and rainbows and stuff. Mm-hmm. Because the honeymoon phase eventually ends.
Yeah.
And you realize that this person is really annoying.
But like endearingly annoying, not like I hate your guts annoying. Although some people probably would feel like that after a certain period of time, being like, oh, I hate your guts. But I feel like for us, like you're endearingly annoying. Like I look at you, I'm like, wow, you're so annoying. But
I don't find you annoying at all.
That's a lie.
No.
Don't lie to me. You totally think I'm annoying sometimes.
No.
Yeah, I'm fabulous.
This is a trap. She's probing for the wrong answer
I'm
here
gonna have a nightmare again tonight. I'm not gonna be able to sleep.
Oh man, it's very rare that I dream, but I remember this one dream. We talked about it, but now I can't remember what we talked about. It was something about like how we were at the beach, and then I was like out at the ocean hanging out. with like, you know, I guess we had like a kid, or I was looking after a kid, and he was like in the water playing. So obviously I'm there just like keeping an eye on it to make sure a shark doesn't eat the kid. And another like mom lady was also watching her kid and stood next to me and was all like talking, but she was all in like bikini and shit. And we were just like talking about, oh, like, you know, kid stuff. And then eventually her husband came and was all like up in my face about like, hey, Mal, what are you doing, bro? And I was just like, I'm just looking after my kid. We're just having a conversation. And then went back to you, and then I explained to you what happened. And I don't know. There was something funny about that whole situation, but I don't actually remember what.
Wait, okay. So I don't remember this exact dream of us having a kid in your dream. Also, so cute, because you never really tell me any dreams you have with children in it. But I do remember a similar scenario that you were telling me about a dream that you had, but it's like you were just talking to two girls and they were really getting up in your business and close to you, and you kept trying to say like, oh, my wife is over there, my wife is over there. And then like their dudes came over and started getting in your face. And then when I came over, they tried to get in my face to prove a point that you were getting too close to their girls.
Oh, yeah, that sounds way closer to what.
Do you just make your baby dream up?
I don't know, maybe. Holy shit. My memory is just all over the place.
Where's this child that you manifested?
Maybe I read a different story recently about it. I've never dreamt about a kid ever.
Which is why
potentially. Oh my God, I'm a liar.
Maybe you just read
memories,
something and then it just blended into your actual dream, and
maybe.
your memory just went like haywire. But it's so strange because once you said you dreamt of us having a child, I was like, that doesn't sound accurate.
Hey, you don't have to say it like that, okay? I want kids eventually.
No, I know you want kids, but it's so rare to ever hear you dream of a child in it.
Yeah, because those are more nightmares, and then I don't sleep very well.
I did have like a nightmare the other day where...
With a child?
No, not with a child,
no.
But I love interpreting dreams. I find it so fascinating and so exciting and just like so interesting to be like, okay, if I dreamt about being... And this is a dream that I usually really... I have so often because I've told you about this, where I'm in an elevator and it's always going up and it doesn't stop, and I have a horrible fear of heights and it just keeps going up, 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 and... Yeah, that's about it. That's my nightmare because I'm so high up above the ground, flying to the moon.
Yeah, we had this conversation, and the weird thing I told you was that was actually the visualization I used to do when I meditated a lot back in the day. Is that I would step into an elevator and slowly see myself going up. Yeah. But the elevator would be glass, so I could like see everything changing from like a dark city floor, you know, in a gloomy place like Toronto, and then it slowly goes up and you can see the mountains and the sun and everything, and end up in this like giant hallway with a huge door at the end.
What you do to meditate is my nightmare.
Oh.
Like that is my biggest nightmare.
It's
if the
okay.
floor was glass.
No, not the floor. Just like the elevator has a glass window.
Yeah, no, that would be so horrible to me.
I'm sorry. I don't think you're meant for the modern world.
It's a huge nightmare. Okay, so speaking of nightmares, aren't you going to introduce a topic that you came up with? This is very exciting because Elbert came up with this topic to talk about.
Yeah, like I don't really know what we were watching, but I can tell you what we're watching now, which is Fallout, like the TV show. Super violent, but it's like a post-apocalyptic world.
It's based on a video game, right?
Yeah, it's based on like a really old video game. I mean, there's new ones too, but it's been going on, like it's been around for a while. But in this world, like it's all about survival, right? You're just stuck in this shitty situation. You got to do whatever you have to survive. And we were just talking one day about, you know, which one of us would actually survive in the horror movie situation.
Not me.
I mean, I would do my best to keep you alive.
I wonder if by keeping me alive, you would just end up dying too.
Probably.
So
is the answer that like no one would survive in like a horror movie?
Well, what if we were individual? Okay, so maybe we should look at this if we were solo individuals. And then we can talk about it if we were together. Because I watch so many horror movies, you guys. I love watching horror movies. But the funny thing is, like, I need to kind of force Albert to watch horror movies with me because he hates it. he like hates it. But the funny thing is that when we actually do sit down and watch a horror movie, my eyes are closed, or I'm like looking at my phone and multitasking, because that's how I prep myself with watching horror movies. It's very much a social activity for me. So I like being around people watching horror movies, but I don't actually watch the entire thing without looking away. Whereas Albert, his eyes are like, your eyes are like wide open. It's like you don't look away.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why like your siblings are like this too.
Yeah.
All three of you will watch a horror movie, and I'm the one watching, and all of you are on your phones.
Yeah, like all
It's the
three
most
of us.
infuriating thing because I don't want to watch this like garbage, and all three of you are like, "Yeah, let's watch it."
But your eyes are like wide open. You're taking everything in.
And most of the time, it's like not even scary. It's just annoying because I hate the startle parts. You know, where you're like,
You don't like be freaked out?
No, I don't mind. Like, okay, freaked out versus startled is like different, right? I don't like the jump scary stuff, not because I'm like scared, but because I'm like just annoyed that, that like my body like flinches, you know? I'm just like, that was unnecessary.
So when you watch a horror movie, you don't like being annoyed, not because you're scared like any regular person. When you watch a rom-com, you don't like getting annoyed by the sad emotional scenes, not because you're sad, because you're annoyed.
In a romantic comedy, there's sad scenes?
Sorry, let me rephrase that. Oh, well, sometimes there are sad scenes in romantic comedies.
Not a very good comedy then, is it?
Well, you get to the sad scenes, and then, like, you flower it up with the comedy. Anyway,
So
we're diverting
comedy.
from the point of this.
Yes, okay. So, the horror movie, let's go back.
Yeah, we watch a lot of horror movies. Well, I do. And a lot of times when you're watching these movies like Scream, right? Like Scream, and you're yelling at the TV, being like, you know, you're telling them to like either run or don't be stupid and go into this like random house in the middle of nowhere, or like don't separate, don't split up, right? Because that's how you die. And so, like, we always yell at the TV. Well, I do. So I feel like I would know what to do in a situation if we were actually in a horror movie. So I might actually stand a chance.
What if the killer is in the group that you're trying to protect, though?
Ooh.
Backstabbed.
Ooh.
Oh, you know, like, because that's the whole premise of Scream, right? As the killer is among you. Yeah. I feel like I would survive if it wasn't like some backstabby shit and it was just like post-apocalyptic, you know, you just try and survive.
Like,
because I can be like pretty crafty and stuff. Like,
you are. Okay, that's true.
But if it's a situation where it's like, oh shit, there's like giant insects and monsters and stuff, I would be like, yeah, don't worry, I got this. And I'll just, I'll be the first to go.
That's true. Okay, yes, because you're so handy and you're so good with thinking on your feet and you're also quite strong, etc. So I feel like, yeah, if it's kind of like a Walking Dead situation where it's post-apocalyptic and it's kind of like what you need to do to survive or like ration your food, etc., you would do really, really good.
Yeah. If we were together, though.
I would bring us down.
No. We would figure it out. Like, we can use you as bait.
Are you serious? You would use me as bait?
No.
You're smiling.
I would use photos of you as bait.
Don't lie to me.
No, I was joking. I was joking.
You'd be like, okay.
I wouldn't actually use you as bait. But, if we were together, I feel like I could teach you stuff. If it wasn't like what's that movie called? The Quiet Place?
Oh, where you can, so you need to talk to me in order, well, that's true, because I'm really bad at understanding instructions.
Oh, no, that's not what I meant. I meant like, okay, you know how like, there's like supernatural stuff, right?
Yeah.
That would kill you?
Yeah.
Like, screw that shit, I'm out, like, we're screwed. We can't survive that.
No, we need a Bible and Jesus.
Yeah. Okay. So if it's supernatural stuff, I feel like realistically, most people, if they survive, it's all like chance until you figure out how to survive. But if it's something like you're just stuck somewhere and like it's just dangerous, but like you have a way to like kind of understand that danger, I would say our chances are still low because I still think in a lot of those situations it is like chance. But I feel like we like us together, we can think on our feet pretty quick.
I appreciate the amount of faith that you have in me. It's definitely a lot more faith than I have in myself, because realistically, I'm just thinking of times where we've been in situations where I feel extremely uncomfortable, like i.e. when we're hiking or when I stepped into a wasp nest one time, and I honestly just follow your lead. Like, I look at you and sometimes what you say doesn't really register in my brain.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense.
What do you mean?
I don't know. Sometimes you're just kind of not paying attention.
Well, it's because there's a lot of information. There's a lot of stimuli.
Yeah.
And so it takes me a while. Like, I learn by watching. So if you, like, go on and on telling me how to build a raft to survive, I would be way too distracted by A, how hungry I am, and B, how uncomfortable I'm feeling in this situation to really absorb any information.
Yeah, but I feel like if you're ever thrown into a scenario where, like, you have to essentially be thrown, like, you have no other option,
Yeah.
I feel like you would thrive in that because it's just like a high stress situation.
That's true. I'm good with stress.
You love like high stress.
I don't love high stress.
Okay.
But I can perform in high stress situations.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And I feel like, yes, you would be really good in the survival kind of horror, but I feel like I would be pretty good in the, like, serial killer kind of horror, because I would just avoid those situations to begin with. Like, I would be one of those people, like, if I'm in a car with a group of friends and then our car breaks down in the middle of nowhere and then we see a random house in the middle of the woods and they'd be like, let's go stay there. I'd be like, fuck no. I'm going to just leave and then I'll go home and have my dinner.
Even go where in a car that broke down?
Well, I'll call the cops.
Well, obviously, like, their phones are dead or they didn't have reception. If
I'll call you.
Okay, there are situations in these movies where there was the only choice left for them, right?
Not
and
really.
that is why they went to it.
Some of them are just, like, really dumb because they're high school kids. But I feel like I wouldn't put myself in that situation to begin with. Like, I wouldn't be in a car driving in the middle of nowhere, because I would think that's a bad idea. So this situation wouldn't even happen for me.
Oh, shit. What's that word? Oh, you'd be like the extra in the back corner of like a horror movie that's just walking by. And just
Yeah, I would just be walking by and be like, shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Should have just stayed home.
Just judging the high school kids. Oh, man,
Yeah,
you guys
like,
are making a mistake.
Like, this is why you don't do stupid shit.
Yeah. I guess in situations like that, though, kind of segueing into our next question is, would love be enough to keep you together in, like, super high tense situations? Like, you know, you both have to run, but you know the other one's slower. Would you like,
Oh my God. You know I would never leave you.
No, I would never. I would go fight whoever it is, especially
Same.
if it's, like, supernatural.
Same. Like, if you were being dragged down by, like, a monster,
That's very specific.
I would run back to you with my short, stubby legs and my slowness and try and save you with whatever I can find. I will rip that monster off of your body.
Okay, and this is how we know we would both die in horror movie situations.
But I would never leave you.
At least, like, one of us should survive, right?
No, I would never leave you.
Okay, if we had a kid, then at least one of us should survive with the
Yes,
kid.
but this is different. We're not talking about children in the mix.
Yeah, okay.
This is just me and you. So I would never leave you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that answers the question then. Like, let's not dive any further because we might...
We're done.
Yeah, we're done with this. Let's move on. Love is enough. Love is enough to get us both killed.
No. But say, like, Uno reverse and you were the killer. Is love enough?
If I was the killer and you were my victim, or
wow,
you were
this
also
got really
a killer?
dark. No. If you were the killer in a situation like Scream,
Yeah.
and then you're like, babe, surprise, I'm the killer, but it's okay, we can run away together.
I mean, I feel like if I was a killer, I'd be like so fucked up in the head that I'm not saying I am fucked up right now, okay? Just to make it really clear and lay it out for the audience here. If you were a killer in that situation, like Scream, you don't have a girlfriend. Everyone is a victim in your eyes.
I guess.
Everyone's a stab target.
That's true. That is a very similar theme in a lot of the slasher movies, or they're both killers together.
Yeah, yeah.
Is love enough in the context of
High stress situations.
Yeah, high stress situations, marriage, long-term relationships. And the reason that we're talking about this is because we've been watching a lot of Korean dramas, and I don't know. If you guys watch Korean dramas, you know that it's a roller coaster of emotions, right? And there's just like anything and everything that can happen to somebody just to take you through all of the emotions in a Korean drama. So we were like, you know what? I wonder if love is enough, because this particular Korean drama that we're watching is called Queen of Tears, right?
Yeah.
What's the Korean translation?
Queen
of
Tears. 눈물의 여왕? I think. I don't know.
I don't know. I have no idea.
I'm Korean by
what?
my parents only. I speak some, but not enough.
I like it when you speak Korean. It's sexy.
Oh, ooh la la.
Ooh la la la. But anyway, we've been watching Queen of Tears, and it's like, if you guys have never watched it, it's basically going through this married couple's life, and how their marriage has kind of broken down in the span of 3 years. But we get to see how the relationship has been prior to them getting married, in the honeymoon phase, and as they go through like these things in life, and then how it ultimately breaks apart and they just become strangers just living in the same house. And there's a lot of factors, right, that play into why this particular marriage is breaking down, whether that's communication or family or work or children, etc. And so we were just kind of sitting down on the couch being like, I wonder if love is enough. Like, is it enough to stay in a long-term relationship or a marriage just purely because you really love somebody?
Like, just emotional love? Like, you just look at it and be like, oh, I feel love for you, but like, that's it?
Well, no. Like, what do you mean?
Like the honeymoon phase. Is that kind of love enough for you to stay in a relationship?
No, I think in this context, it's like, I look at you now, you're my husband, and I'm like, I love you with all my heart. Like, I would jump in front of a bullet for you kind of love. Like, you look at someone, you're like, I love you. It's not like honeymoon love. It's like love.
I don't know. I think it's debatable for a lot of different situations that someone might be placed into. Like, love definitely plays a strong factor in whether or not you stay together. For obvious reasons, I feel stupid saying this. Like, you're not going to stay together if you don't love each other.
Well, some people stay together if they don't love each other.
Unless they're like really rich. And you're just
money does help.
Yeah, money probably does help.
You're falling in love.
That's more of an agreement.
Money.
That's not love, which is totally fine, I would say. But if you love somebody, there's got to be all these other things that follow with it, right? Like, you can't just say that you love somebody but then not actually show it in like the ways that the other person needs you to show it.
Yeah, that's an interesting take, actually. It's also something that we were kind of dabbling about too, is like love languages, right? Because like what you just said is like, how do you show love in the way that the other person needs to receive it? But a lot of the times people have different love languages and they don't really know what each other's love language is. So yeah, I guess I kind of do agree, like, love is enough for you to like emotionally feel love for somebody. But if you don't express it in a way that is, I guess, frequent enough in a marriage, or like express in a way that the other person would receive it as love, then that's kind of where you can get a miscommunication or like a communication breakdown. Yeah.
And I think there's also situations where you can love the person but still recognize that you're not meant to be together, or like that it's not a good fit. Like you might have friends that like you love because like they're your close friends, but that doesn't mean you're gonna go off and like marry them and stuff, right? Like if you love somebody but you realize that they have dreams and goals that will definitely go into a path where you're gonna end up unhappy if you go with them, that's like not a good fit. And I think as a maturing adult, over time, as you like start to realize what you want and stuff, you're gonna be more picky about the type of people that like you choose to date and like eventually go to marry, because time is limited. And I feel like a lot of people will naturally gravitate towards a situation where you might really like the person, but their goals also have to be the same, and it has to align before you can actually like go together.
For sure. And that's interesting that you mentioned that too, because there are couples who get married quite young, like, you know, like fresh out of high school, they get married, they just want to start their life together without gaining, I guess, in my perspective, enough world experience. And granted, a lot of marriages, that young marriages do last, but there are also young marriages that don't last because they haven't really hit that phase, like you said, where they don't know what their goals are. They don't know the direction that they want to take in their life. And so they're already married to somebody who's also going through that and may not go through it in the same way.
You are two separate individuals that want to achieve certain things, and you can choose to, you know, go and learn all these experiences together as like a couple, which is totally fine. I think a lot of relationships do that. Like you and I have grown like together a lot, like a lot of different ways, and like experienced a lot of different things together. But like in situations where the couples realize that what they're looking for outside of their relationship becomes very different, you know, those might be situations where like you end up, you still love the person, but you just realize that it's not an ideal
It's just
fit.
easier to like go your separate ways. Like, what was that saying? Like, if you love me, let me glow. Not glow. I can't speak, you guys. If you love me,
let me glow.
Let me glow.
If you love me, let me glow. It's like a song. I
Which
hope
is
someone
also
makes
true.
A song out of this.
Actually, both things could be true.
Let me glow, glow, glow. I'ma shine bright like a star.
You're such a good singer, babe.
I'm a terrible singer.
You're a great singer. I love it when you sing. But both terms, actually, they do make sense. If you love somebody, let them go. Or if you love somebody, let them glow.
Or if you love somebody, don't let them go.
Yes. Yeah.
Keep them here.
Yeah, so it's very
forever.
Subjective.
Oh, you want to leave? No.
That's just creepy AF. But
okay.
but yeah. I get what you know. What you guys? Last year was the first year that Albert and I. No, this year. Sorry, I'm getting the years mixed up. But this year was the first year Albert and I actually sat down and did some New Year goals together.
What?
Yeah, we did.
We have done New Year goals before.
Not together. We have. No, we haven't.
Yes, yeah, we have.
You're crazy. We didn't write it down.
We had relationship goals this year.
Yeah, we also had like financial goals and just like goals as a couple in addition to our individual goals.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
Yeah. So it was the first year that we actually did that. Besides just talking about it.
Yes, that specific thing, yeah.
It's like we actually spent like I think 1 or 2 hours just talking about what we want to achieve individually and then what we want to achieve together. And I think it's totally okay not having exactly the same goals. I think that's quite rare for couples to have exactly the same goals. But I think as long as your goals kind of go towards the same direction, like if you both want to be better, if you both want to be financially secure, if you both want to have a healthy relationship, however you choose to get there is fine.
Yeah. You know, I think there's certain things that might be difficult, and like as couples might discuss these goals, right? But I feel like I've heard and read about this kind of stuff a lot online or like from people where there's always tension about like where they want to live.
Yeah.
Like somebody wants to live there, and I feel like most of the time it comes down to like one person wants to be closer to one family, but then it takes them so far from the other family.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, where also strain kind of happens because people, for the most part, want to be close to their family as well. But I mean, with any relationship, there always needs to be some sort of compromise, right?
Yeah.
And that's where communication is like so incredibly important. And I guess like for us, I know that certain times when we have like these deep conversations, it's not fun necessarily, right? We're not like, yay, let's talk about our feelings, and then it gets just really deep and we get into a lot of other things that isn't necessarily the most light conversations. It's not something that we would choose to do on a Friday night, basically. But I think it's so important because you don't want these things to build up like out of nowhere and not talk about it. I mean, I feel like we would rather just have everything, all our cards out in the open and work through it together.
Yeah, and I think the key factor is working through it together. Like, you respectfully have the conversation together. Right? It's not a word vomit of like, bleh.
Yeah, it's like, this is what I want.
Yeah, no, that doesn't work.
Yeah, it's not like a one-person decision.
Yeah, I mean, it could be.
I mean, it could be. I guess
but
it really depends.
But at that point, you should probably leave.
Well, I mean, I guess it really depends on what the relationship is, though, right? Like, the personality fits and what the relationship
agreement.
is. A money agreement?
Oh, we were talking about the money agreement, about how, like, if there's a lot of money involved in the relationship. Like, one person is rich. Okay, anyway.
Oh, if one person's richer than the other.
And it's an agreement to be married for the money.
Oh, so like a sugar daddy?
Sugar mommy, yeah.
I don't know if sugar daddies actually marry their sugar babies.
Relationship's a relationship. I don't discriminate.
Like, no discrimination. Like, if you are thriving in life as a sugar baby, you go for it, man. Like, good on you. Get that dough. Get that bag.
Yeah. Just not my dough.
Yeah, just not your... Well, I can't possibly be your sugar baby because we're basically
Well, you can have my money. It's fine.
Aw, you're
not
cute.
all my money, though.
Just take it all.
You can have a good percentage, up to 50% of my money.
Totally.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting? That when you brought up how the dynamics of a relationship is in terms of communication and who makes the decision, and like, is love enough? Like, that actually, maybe because we're both Asian, I feel like in the Asian culture there is a bit of cultural difference between those who grew up in an Asian community versus people who grew up in North America and has more like an individualistic perspective on life. I feel like if you live in Asia primarily, like, it's very much rooted in family and society, and I guess to an extent, I'm not sure, I feel like with our generation we're kind of slowly breaking out of those, like, things that don't really serve us also as individuals, but a lot of the times, like, people kind of sacrifice their own happiness for somebody else's happiness.
Yeah, and I think that's normal. That has to happen. Like, you can't be happy all the time, because then you just end up becoming a leech in the relationship, right?
I guess it's like finding a nice happy medium in between the compromise, basically, like being able to compromise. Yeah,
like, so what is really the breaking factor for you is what you should ask yourself, right? Like, if there's XYZ, but there's no point in X and Y, like, you don't care about them, or you don't care enough that it's a hill that you're not going to die on, then, just let go of it. Just compromise on those things. But obviously the other one, if it becomes like something that you can't compromise on, then that's like a whole other story.
Totally, yeah. But, like, I feel like going back to that Korean drama that we were watching, I feel like for them, like, there's definitely love there, and I think it kind of just fizzled out and disappeared because of, like, family. I guess, like, in that K-drama, like, he was living with her family, and they were just like this huge conglomerate who were, like, just very, very wealthy, and they just had certain rules, and I guess he felt like the black sheep, or maybe just not, like, he felt like she wasn't supporting him in that situation, and then they had, like, horrible communication skills, like, absolutely garbage communication.
But okay, if maybe I'm not understanding the show, or like where their miscommunication comes from, but I feel like it stemmed from the loss of their unborn child, right?
I feel like that was what broke the camel's back.
If I remember correctly, essentially he didn't like how she reacted, because her coping mechanism was to, like, get defensive and go inwards, like, to trauma or something that made her sad. Whereas, like, he wanted to be open and, like, talk about it and, like, recognize that it was there. So when she essentially got rid of the baby stuff and, like, cleared out the room, like, he took it, like, very offensively, because he viewed her as, like, very cold and, basically, like, being a jerk.
Yeah. Like,
but she was just, like, holding it in, like, herself, because she didn't have any other way to, like, deal with it.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, I do agree. And I think it's just like they had such different waves of dealing with grief, or like they just also with shitty communication. So they didn't know that they were both dealing with grief, and so they just did it alone.
Go to a therapist.
Yeah,
if
no
you
kidding.
need
Go to a therapist.
Yeah.
Like in a fairy tale world, it's nice to be like, love is enough, right? Like love is all you need to have a happy marriage. Which I guess in essence, if you truly, really, really love somebody, you kind of find ways to make it work. But realistically, there's just so many other things, you know, there's
Yeah.
like family, there's money, there's health, sickness, everything that, I mean, love will get you through it. I totally believe in that. Like the romantic in me believes that, yeah, like with love, like you'll get through things together. But is love enough for everybody? Probably not.
No, probably not. And I think it would be naive. Am I saying that word correctly?
Naive?
Naive.
Yeah, naive?
Yeah, anyway, it feels naive to think that love will be enough. Like if you go into
Yeah.
a relationship thinking that love will be enough to sustain the relationship,
Yeah.
that you're kind of in for like a world of pain and unhappiness, because with love, I feel like your expectations are like so high in like what you're expecting out of the relationship, but you kind of need to always go in expecting to work for it.
You have
Yeah.
to work at something that you love, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like after the honeymoon stage, etc., like when you get into like the reality of it, yeah, like you need to work and you need to choose to love each other
Yeah.
every single day.
I mean, something to motivate you guys is that if you choose to grow apart, it is a very big financial hit. Very big. So just work on it early and keep it consistent.
Yeah.
Like you're going to the gym. Let's go.
And it's because we have this topic that we want to talk about like further in like another episode. It's just like how Korean dramas and rom-coms just really set us up for failure when it comes to romantic relationships because of just the expectation that love is enough. But yeah, we'll definitely be talking about that, I think, in a future episode because I think it's so interesting to dissect that.
Yeah. Definitely the unrealistic expectations that I would say like marketing, social media, like everything has pushed on
Yeah.
like our generation. And I mean, I'm sure like previous generations had propaganda and like other things about what was expected of the ideal wife, right? Or like the ideal husband. There's a lot of stuff there that really needs to be unpacked.
I'm excited for that
So
episode.
excited.
Because, like, I love romantic comedies. I grew up watching Disney. I grew up watching, like, all the princess movies. And, like, I definitely grew up having an idea of, like, what romance was. And it definitely set the bar for a lot of things that also set me up for disappointment in life. No,
Was
be real.
Prince Eric not into humans?
He didn't know she was a fish. Okay, we're getting to
I mean,
some really
she must
weird
have
shit.
like
Right?
tasted like fish when he kissed her, right? Like, she lived in the ocean for crying out
She
loud.
probably tasted salty.
She probably tastes like fish.
And he was like, sushi.
Her breath is probably just fishy.
Ew.
Like,
Oh, there's so many things I could say that would smell like fish.
yeah, okay.
We're just going to stop it here.
yeah,
We're
let's
just
cut it
going to
off.
end it here.
Okay. Adios, amigos.
No,
and
you're supposed to do
amigas.
this
Oh.
properly. Okay, so we had prepared this episode, and Albert was going to do our outro.
Ba-da-ba-ba. I don't want to get sued.
Yeah, maybe not do that. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. I
I
believe in you. I believe in you. You can do it.
What is the what? Oh, am I just doing an outro?
Yeah, you're just doing an outro.
Thanks for listening to Slightly Burnt Toast. Adios.
That is no. You're okay. I'll do this for you, and then you can remember.
What was
and
wrong
you're-
with that outro?
It's great, but you didn't like really like get into it.
Okay. If you want to learn more about us, find Samantha on her Instagram. You'll see her. She also has a YouTube. We also talk about stuff. And you can find me in the black void of I'm never telling you my Instagram handle. So good luck finding me out.
Love it. That was great. Thanks for tuning in, you guys. See you in the next one.
Bye bye.
Bye.